let's talk about die cracks and cuds. We can see some examples on these coins in front of us of each. Maybe pick them out. What do you see here? Big fat cud around 8 o'clock. How about here? A giant cud running from like 9 to 11 or 12 almost. We almost got 3 hours worth of cud on that one. And then a big bisecting crack with another crack that meets it from the bottom. Bisecting crack. Bisecting crack. Die crack through E and S. Die crack through S. A cud above L. Die crack through T and Y. Die crack through D. So you see them on the coin, but you got to think about what they look like on the die. And I just so happen to have an old back issue of Pennywise that has some good photos of the 1823 restrike dies, of which this is an 1823 restrike. So let's look at that die. That's where the cud came from. And if I put this coin in frame, look at that. It matches up perfectly. This is kind of neat, actually. I'll just put it closer. If I flipped that over on top, that's how it would have set on this die. So cool to have access to the die and the coin. So you can see where that cud came from. And then we have the cracks. You can see those cracks through the die. And you can see how deep those cracks run. And as they develop, they get deeper and wider. And whatever is happening on the die, the opposite happens on the surface of the coin. So your big wide crack, the big bisecting crack, results in a more prominent raised remnant or impression from that valley, creates a peak on the coin running the length of that crack. And then the one that meets from the bottom is a thinner, lesser developed crack that appeared later. And you can see that's a much thinner crack. And on the surface of the coin, it is much thinner as well. This one also has some neat cracks on the reverse. These restrikes are really cool because it's not often you get to see a die that just gets beat to death, because this would have been retired several times over had it been at the mint. But when they were striking them privately with their counterfeit, well, authentic dies, but making counterfeit coins, they just kept on beating on them as long as they could until it fell apart, which it kind of did. So I became a little extra interested in die breakdown and cracks and crack progressions and cuds when I was at the ANA and got to handle these restrike dies in person. It was pretty neat. It's a rare opportunity to be able to handle an authentic die that was used to strike early copper coins. So very neat. Let's look at some other examples though. As far as cuds go, S62 has one of my favorites. It's just a monster cud. Bisecting cracks are, I mean, there's a number of them out there, but this is just a really nice example on this 1840. I think it's an N12. I don't really pay attention to my die varieties outside of 1793 and 4, but I think that's what this one is. And I really love my S68, but it's not real fun to look at. It's cool, but it's not aesthetic. That 1840, beauty. S26 forms a crack through E, and then another crack through S that progresses and gets all big and fat like this one is here. S32 is fun. It has a cud above L, and then develops that crack through S. This one's got some fun rotation, actually. If we were to flip this straight over, we see it's 90-degree rotation on that one. All right, so I thought that was fun, but we'll rotate it correctly. And you can take a look at that skinny crack through S, which progresses to a big fat crack through S, even filling that upper left portion of S. It's a fun progression. Sheldon's 70 obverse picks up a crack between T and Y. This same die is also on the S69, which does not break, and then it breaks early in the S70 deployment. And that crack will ultimately progress down Liberty's face, but that goes away with any wear. So this one, I can't tell exactly how late a die state it was, but likely the crack that went down the face has just been obscured by circulation wear. And 64, missing fraction bar variety. This is a very late die state. You have the sunken center of the die, which results in a bulging of the surface of the coin and premature wear, which this one has. And then that crack with offset at D, the portion to the right, it's sunk. And when a die sinks, it raises the surface of the coin. So the surface past D here is a little higher than the surface on this side of D. And then you can see that that is a late die state, and it actually picks up a little bit of a buckle to the left of S. And that's kind of neat. I've been researching this one a little bit with Chuck Heck. This may be a die state 6. Heck's book goes to 5 right now, but we're still studying and determining whether this should be a new die state. There's another really high-grade coin from the March Wells collection that also shows some evidence of that buckling to the left of S, which is that pie shape that you're kind of seeing there. So, just some fun examples of cuds and cracks and both for your viewing pleasure. See that little cud right there too, above the L? You can see where that started to go down the face, and then we just don't know how advanced it was because of wear. All right, that'll do it for this one. Maybe I'll put this one back where it belongs. Right like that. All right, see you guys later.